Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Pickles and Bacon Show Rewind. We have a second special guest today, being that Friday was it
Elvis
the day
week.
that Elvis died or Elvis week? So we have invited Gabe. He's an ETA, which apparently stands for Elvis Tribute Artist. And we decided Pickles and Bacon are going to, ask about what an ETA is and get an ETA on all of that. So Mr. B. Quan over here, my brother, I'm gonna let you take it away. So, why don't you start with introducing Gabe and all of that cool stuff.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this man here, who's like a brother to me, is my friend Gabe. He is one of the greatest, coolest people I've ever got to meet. And he, like we said, he's an Elvis tribute artist. So I'm gonna let him have the floor here for a second. But kind of tell us a little bit of how you got started and where and how it all began for you, man.
So yeah, as Adik and Pickle said, my name's Gabe. I'm from Corpus Christi. I've been an Elvis fan since I was about 5 years old. It's when I first heard my first Elvis record. I grew up with a very religious family. We had traditions on weekends, especially on Sundays after church. We would listen to the old records, and my dad would always play them. So one day I held up this big old album that said Elvis Story. It was before I could even read. And I'd be like, I want to hear this one. And the first song my dad played for me was Suspicious Minds. And so for whatever reason, um, he played that song. Something about it just grabbed me. I like how he sings. And that just started the whole whirlwind of me becoming an Elvis fan. So like from 5 years old to about 10, the more the older I got, the more I listened to his music, and it really grabbed me. And then by the time I hit 10 years old, one Sunday I told my dad, like, I want to sing like him. And I was thinking, and my dad would be like, that's funny, he thought it was a joke. My dad's like, all right, let's see what we can do. So from 10 years old till about 5 years, my dad helped me out with getting me the I'm about to date myself on this one. He got me VHSs. He got me the CDs. He got me cassettes and the cassette player. And he said, like, let's see what we can do. Let's find your style because you can't just go up there and be like, I'm Elvis. So like, if you're gonna do this, I want you to be the best that you can. So there we go, getting me all these videos and books and stuff just to read on him. And finally, about 5 years later, when I was 15, I did my first show down in Los Fresnos, Texas. There was a man down there named Simon Vega who served with Elvis in the army, and he had a festival there, a mini Elvis Fest, that Little Graceland's what he called it. And um, my friend, who was also performs, he told me like, "Why don't you go down there with me? Try it, check it out." And I went once just to to see the experience. And man, to see the so many people that loved Elvis and the performers, like that is so cool. They like, I want to do that. And this was around January on Elvis's birthday. And my friend Danny introduced me to Mr. Vega. Mr. Vega's like, come back in August. Let's try you out. Let's see what you can do. You got the hair. Let's see if you got the voice. And so from January to August, I'm just like, what do I do? I don't have a suit. I don't have any music. How am I going to do this? And so that first time was just so hectic. And we finally got it. Um, went down there in August, and that shows that, like, I later found out that's one of his biggest moments is that one, with the day he passed. And so there's so many Winter Texans there and locals, there's about 400 or 500 people there, and I'm like, man, this is so scary, to see all those people out there. And that crowd that day was vicious, man. They didn't clap, they didn't think, they're just sitting there stone faced. I'm like, these guys have been doing this for years. This is my first show. These people are gonna eat me. They're gonna boo me off the stage. But no, the Mr. Vega introduced me as the first timer and this and that, and it was that was the beginning of the itch of like, I want to do this more. You get that natural high when you do something you love, and I've been chasing that ever since. And so we did the show, loved it, and I went down there for another 6, 7 years. I performed down there for a while, and Mr. Vega, I thank him. I owe it to my dad and to Mr. Vega for doing this because they took a chance on me. They believed in me, and because of them, I'm where I am now.
All right. So, Gabe, I wanted to ask you, like, I know that apart from like Las Vegas, and you can correct me if I'm wrong to what the terminology is, but we did say earlier that you're an ETA, which stands for Elvis Tribute Artist.
Hmm.
So, like, apart from being in Corpus Christi, Texas, do you feel like there's not as big of an Elvis like impersonation kind of tribute artist here in Texas? Or do you feel like everything is like in Las Vegas where you would see them? I mean, what is your thoughts on that as far as being an ETA?
I feel on that question that a lot of them are you'll see them more in Vegas because that is a lot of people. Before Elvis, you thought of Vegas, you thought of the Rat Pack, Sinatra, Martin, all those people. The mafia, and now in '70s, now you think of rhinestones, Elvis, and this and that. And so a lot of them are there. Here in Texas, especially here in Corpus Christi, there's not much of a demand for us here. It's kind of hard unless you are really established. Like here in Corpus alone, there's three of us that I know of. One of them I got to perform with years ago, and I've reached out to them and I've spoken to them and like, how are you doing? Are your show wise? And thankfully we're all on good terms with each other. It's not a cutthroat, mean girl thing. We're like, I ain't got to tell you nothing. Like, no, we're cool with each other. We talk to each other. Like, how are you doing? It's like, man, I am struggling just as you are. So here in Corpus, it's really hard unless we go up to like maybe San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, one of the bigger metropolitan areas. I feel like we would probably do a lot better there because there's more grounds for us versus here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bacon and I, sorry, Bacon, give me just a sec. We're from San Antonio, and I always tell him that I've been to clubs and I've never heard Elvis music. I've never seen an ETA. I don't think I've ever seen a Selena drag performer either.
Hmm.
So that's why I was like wondering, like, is it harder? So as an ETA in Texas, do you think it's harder, or and when you're like booking gigs, are you booking gigs like in other cities? Or are you trying to stay mainly in Texas?
For the moment, I'm trying to stay in Texas, just to establish myself here as the local kid, pretty much, so to speak, for the Texas area. Because one of my goals, and hopefully one day, was to be on stage in either Vegas or in Tennessee for Elvis Fest. And for those competitions, they have like representing like the Miss America pageant. You represent your state. And so I would love to just do here in Texas to kind of get myself out there again, to get my name out there, and to get that privilege of representing Texas in Elvis Week or Elvis Fest.
Yeah. Beacon, what did you want to say?
I was just gonna totally agree with him. Like, yeah, I think San Antonio would be a bigger platform, but like, it's traveling issues, and I know, and with things the way they're going, but also at the same time is I know that I think I would have thought, to be honest with you, I would have thought Corpus Christi was a bigger market for ETAs.
It's not. Corpus Christi, you have to understand that Corpus Christi is it's a small town. And also to be fair, San Antonio was once considered a small town, like a border town between like Dallas and like Austin, because Austin was once the big city. But now San Antonio is the big city with a small town feel, but Corpus Christi is a lot like Elgin, where it's like small town, it's very quiet. So that's why I was like, Gabe, so when you're performing, are you performing like in drag clubs, or like are you actually like doing Elvis festivals or like Elvis week or anything like that? Because I would imagine the drag clubs would have some sort of niche for like an ETA. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I've never thought about that. I hadn't even considered that at all. Like that was just, good idea. No, I the drag queens things like that I have not thought of, but I feel like I probably would. My shows were a lot of birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, stuff like that. in the past.
Hmm.
And now I'm trying to revamp the whole Elvis show that I have now, because before I would do the whole gold jacket, black slacks, black shirt, kind of like the 50s style. And now that I'm older now and my voice is a lot deeper, I can't really do the 50s. So I've been doing more of the jumpsuit era, the 70s, as you can tell with the hair and everything. And now I'm trying to expand myself to where I'm open to all venues. I've reached out to businesses that, like these diners that are like 50 styles that have that old school feel to them. I reached out like, if you ever thought about doing something like an Elvis concert, let me know. Here's my card. Let me know. We'll set something up. We'll do a weekend. Let's get people in. So I try to help out businesses, and I like to think of myself as like an affordable ETA, because a lot of them they cost an arm and leg, man. For like an hour, it's up to like almost $800. And for me, is I don't want to overcharge. And I know you get what you pay for. You have to put the brand. But for me, it's like I feel like at this time, the way the economy is and everything, I have to feel like I have to cater to those who want it and can afford it. So I could try to keep myself. I call myself the affordable Elvis, almost kind of like the insurance.
Yeah. No, I mean, because to be fair, and I explain this to Deke all the time, when people have issues with drag, and the reason I brought up drag is because technically, isn't drag when you're like dressing up as someone else and you're putting on the makeup and like impersonating them? Like, I know that if I went to a club and they had an Elvis night and they were going to have an ETA, I'd be like, oh, let's do it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, do you think it's fair for me to say, um, have you ever considered, like, a asking the drag clubs? Because first of all, I know that they would have you, and there's money behind them because I've been to a lot of the drag clubs in Corpus. I
Mhm.
mean, have you ever thought of like maybe trying a night and see what that would be like?
I actually hadn't, like I said, like before, that hadn't really crossed my mind. I was thinking more of outside of like the venues and that stuff like that. I never thought of like the club scene. I am open to that. I'm flexible. I whatever could help me, I like to help. If I can help them, they can help me. Awesome. A two-way street. I don't want it to be I help them and they're like, okay, whatever. So I
Yeah.
would, I would probably consider that, just to hopefully get my name out there as again, because I took a little break, and then I came back, and like everything was completely different than the way I used to book my shows and run it. And it's like now it's more of social media, YouTube. Everything is on here now versus before is I like word of mouth. Here's my card. Here's some pictures. Call me, and it worked. And so now it's all like I'm having to adapt to. I have to upgrade. I have to update this page. I have to update everything just to keep it running smoothly. And like, man, it's amazing how 9, 10 years, how everything has shifted in the entertainment industry.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Do you have any videos of you like on YouTube or anything?
He does. He
I
has some on TikTok.
Yeah, I have some on TikTok. I don't have any videos. A lot of them I had were back in the day when I was younger, and we had them on a PC. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, I lost a PC when it rained, and it ruined it. It's like, man, I just lost all my videos, all my pictures, and so now I'm having to start from scratch all over. Like it's basically like I'm a brand new ETA again, right from the beginning. And I was like, man, I forgot how hard this was once you have to start all over again.
Yeah, it's
That
hard.
sucks.
It's hard, and then like trying to find bookings, especially here in Texas, like it's really hard. And like I don't think you have a manager, right? At the moment.
At the moment, I don't. So my manager, who I had for the longest time, was my father. He
May
gave
he
me my
rest in
start,
peace.
and yeah, may he rest in peace. I lost him. This November will be 10 years that he passed, and he was my manager, my best friend. He was my everything. And so he was the one that was doing the bookings for me and this and that. And I would ask him, can I go with you? I want to see how this works out, because I wanted, just in case whatever happens, I know what I need to do. And my dad's like, no, no, you stay, you work on the songs, you work on what you need to work on, you let me go do all that for you. And so when he passed, um, it took a big toll on me. and I took that's why I took the reason why I took the break. And just one day, I'm sitting with with my best friends Bobby and Jay. And I was like, man, I really miss singing. It's been at the time it was 8 years that had passed, and I'm like, I have that itch again. I want to do it. And so they encouraged me like, try it again. Let's see if we can. So they've been one of my biggest supporters and pushing me to go out there again, and I thank them for that. And Bobby, shout out to her. She helped me with my jumpsuit, and so she's been a lot of behind the scenes. She's been helping me out with that, and she she's gonna help me with the music, playing the songs for me. Because I don't have a band or anything like that. I use tracks, and so I've been very fortunate on this comeback journey that I like to call it. I've met people who've been tremendous help. Bobby is one of them, like I said, with the suit. I have a friend in Iowa who does music, and I've talked to him. They're like, I want to do songs of Elvis, but I want to do a little different, something that Elvis would be proud of, but also that I can be proud of. So he's been working on these Elvis songs for me, and he's been changing them to where I like, and it's respectable towards Elvis, and they're coming out so awesome. We've have three songs that he's worked on me so far, and the majority of them are not going to say original. It's just these. Like I feel like let's 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 put some me in there to show them that yes, I am performing Elvis, but it's also me.
English editions.
English editions.
But I
I
feel
was like,
like
that'd
at the
be
same
funny.
time though that makes you a more unique ETA, because I think a lot of ETAs got to incorporate something of their own into the shows that they do, and I think with you doing your own thing as well, that also makes you very unique as an ETA.
Yeah,
And
and
that's one.
singing as part of your live show is very unique now because again, going back to the drag thing, a lot of people like to just lip sync and dance and like maneuver over the track. You really don't see a lot of live singers anymore.
hmm And that, one of the main questions that I get a lot, I got asked a lot back then, and some still a few today is, what's the difference between an Elvis tribute artist and an Elvis impersonator? And I tell
Yeah.
them, and for me, and this is my definition of it. Other ETAs may have something different; they'll take something different. But for me, an Elvis impersonator is somebody who just starts off. They're learning. They haven't done a show to where they get paid, or they haven't done a competition, so to speak. So they're out there just they're learning the moves, they're learning the songs. They're using vocal tracks of him, and they're just moving their lips. So I feel like they're emulating him in that aspect of it. So that's an impersonator to me. An ETA is someone that's performed and gotten paid, has done a competition, which I've been very fortunate that I've done both competitions and live performances. And we take the time to learn these songs. Um, there's three different eras that we choose from: the 50s, 60s, 70s. Four, if you want to count the movie era, which some do also. So you have to choose like, what era am I going to do? What is my vocal range? What can I do? And once you do that, and what I did was, um, once I decided to do the jumpsuit era, the 60s, 9 to 77 era, I got every video I could see of him in the jumpsuit, practice his moves, learn how he did his moves, how he stood, how he walked, how he did his hands, how he did his hair. So it's a lot of homework. And as an ETA, we know that we're not Elvis. There's no way that we can be. There's only one Elvis. But for us, we're paying tribute to the man who brought us joy. He, in one way or the other, has helped us through a difficult situation. That maybe that's what saved us, because we were going through something hard. We heard a song, it brightened us, it lifted us, and like, what? I love this. I want to keep this going. And for me, is we know, like, we take the time to, like I said, get the suits, get our hair. Some even wear makeup, and that's what I'm starting to do now. Is trying to figure out how to do that. And it's so funny when they ask, they're like, "How do you feel about makeup?" Because they're like, "You being a straight guy, how do you feel? Do you feel weird? Do you feel like?" At this point, I will try it because I don't want to be on stage and you see my face just as shiny as a suit, looking like a big old disco ball up there. And it's like
Yeah.
I want to look professional. I want to keep it, keep it true to the way Elvis would perform. And so, as an ETA, I feel that some do it for the wrong reasons. They just do it because of clout. I'm Elvis, and we're not. We're doing it to keep the man's memory alive, his legacy going. And I feel like with the Elvis movie that came out, was it 2 years ago or last year, June 24th, that
Yeah.
that just skyrocketed a whole lot of interest in Elvis, and now I love it because we see more people coming out as wanting to try it out. Men and women. Like I was scrolling TikTok a couple of days ago, and I finally saw a lady full jumpsuit, and she was performing as Elvis. Like that is awesome. I had never seen that. Like I've seen pictures, but I have never seen a video of a lady doing Elvis tribute artist, and she did phenomenal. Like wow, that is awesome. So I love that to see that people are taking an interest in it, and it in the outside it looks fun. Like dude, that looks interesting, but in the background you're like working on the songs, you're working on the moves, you're working on the costumes, you're working on the hair, and it's like, man, when you tell
And
people that,
it's
go ahead.
constantly evolving, right? Because like I know
Yeah,
that you have to change sets, like
yeah,
depending on what style you do, whether it's 50s or 60s or
yeah,
even the later 70s. So I know it's constantly evolving.
yeah, for sure. Like you always have to be on top of the new tracks, and you can't just do one set. It's impossible. With all the songs he had, you have a wide variety of what songs you want to do. And for me, I just stick with the 70s because I feel like I can't wear a jumpsuit and do Hound Dog from the 50s because it's not gonna it ain't gonna add up to like what in the world is going on here. But thankfully for us that Elvis did, the songs in the 50s, he did them again in the jumpsuit era. So like, thank you, Elvis. I don't have to try to strain my voice to sing Hound Dog in the 50s in the jumpsuit.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned the difference between an ETA and an Elvis impersonator because, again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, I would have guessed they were one and the same,
Hmm.
based on the things I've seen from like Las Vegas or whatever. But
Hmm.
again, I also take that back to the drag thing, like I said. Look, y'all can fight me on this or whatever, but I still maintain that people like Elvis and Michael Jackson were also drag performers because in real life, he was Elvis Aaron Presley, and then in real life he was Michael Joseph Jackson. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's not
Hmm.
who the jumpsuits and the gloves and the flashy jackets and dance moves. That was all an act. That was he was putting that they were putting those things on um and creating a stage persona like as Elvis and as Michael
Hmm.
Jackson or whatever. So, when I hear people screaming and yelling about drag, I'm like, but drag exists in all sort of forms and formats, even if it's not being called drag. Does that make sense?
If
You
you
know,
think about it, all performers are because what you see on stage is not what you're going to see off stage. It's two different personalities.
exactly.
You have your stage persona, and then you have your one-on-one persona. It's two different people, and so
Exactly.
I get what you're saying with that, and it makes sense like that.
And not only that, but I also told Bacon wrestling is drag. I mean, because technically they're also too putting on, costumes and they're creating fun names and they're creating like little promos and like things like that. And then at the end you get the like big payoff, you get the um the like show or whatever. So it's like in a way it's sort of taking that like RuPaul's Drag Race type of thing, and like it's almost the same thing. Whereas I was like, in the beginning when it first started, it was like America's Next Top Model, but it's not Next Top Model. It's RuPaul's Drag Race. But again, bringing it back to the Elvis of everything. Um, do you think that Elvis would have hearing me say that Elvis or like was considered drag? Do you think someone like him, because I know that he had a really big heart and I know that he liked a lot of people, what do you think he would say seeing ETAs and tribute artists and some female drag performers? Because by the way, I know who you're talking about. She does drag. and does all kind of characters for Elvis. Do you think Elvis would be upset seeing how we still like him and we're still like out here like, oh god, we're still listening to this music 70 years later?
I really feel that Elvis would be flattered and honored, to see that his legacy is still going. You know, because back then everybody thought that rock and roll was just a phase. It's gonna come and go. They're gonna disappear into the distance, and no one's gonna remember that. And Elvis was one of those performers that was out of this world. He gave it 110%, even more out there. And he was very humble, very genuine. And so I feel like to see that his music is still relevant today, I feel like he would feel very honored to see that we are still out here trying to keep his name going, keeping his legacy alive. Um, to see that his music is being used in movies and TV shows, and I mean, like I said, like my favorite movie is Lilo and Stitch, and you know,
Same,
to see that, that was
same.
to finally see an Elvis songs in a Disney movie. I was like, dude, I love this. So I feel like he would love it, to see that I'm still loved, I'm still remembered.
Oh yeah, for sure. And by the way, in the remake, they better have Elvis music because I'll be so upset. I will be so upset with this live action Lilo and
Well,
Stitch
Disney has money like that to afford his
if we
catalog,
don't
so
if we do not get the Elvis music because that literally made the whole thing like
Yes.
Burning Love, and then him and the little, and not only that, but they did two things with that Lilo and Stitch.
Hmm.
They actually got him in that white suit, which they had to pay a ton of money for because that's copyrighted. And
Hmm.
then at the very end, during the end credit scenes, they did the Gates of Graceland. And you know that you cannot, Graceland is copyrighted. You cannot put Graceland anywhere
Yeah.
without it being copyrighted. And they got the Gates of Graceland. And I'm like, I
and the front of the
cannot right
house. If
now.
you look at
The front of
it's the
the
front of the
house.
house. It's the gates
Yeah.
and the front of the house, and they're going like this.
Oh, yeah. Like, just
Yeah.
I was like, if I don't get to see the movie, I just want to see that one little end clip because that
Yeah.
just seals the whole deal for Lilo and Stitch for me, and that better be in the movie too, by the way.
I was so hurt when I found out that they weren't bringing Vin Rhymes back as Cobra Bubbles. I was like, man, come on, we need Bubbles in here. And then, so when I
Yeah,
found that, I was like, oh, if not that, then at least, like you said, keep the Elvis music. We need that.
for
You
sure,
know,
for sure.
and I was thinking about that yesterday because I was listening to some music. I was like, if when they do make this live action Lilo Stitch, if I see Stitch in that white jumpsuit, I'm gonna lose it.
Same,
I
same.
will go.
Okay, so I have a question for you pertaining to Lilo and Stitch.
Okay.
When you see Cobra Bubbles and everyone thinks in the movie that he's a social worker, right? But what if he's a Men in Black? Because he's driving the black car and he's got like the black suit and sunglasses, and then he makes that Roswell comment, and then somebody said this to me and I was like, dude, I didn't even think about that.
When I first saw the movie, I was all like, and I thought the same thing. Like, he's got to be an MIB man. There's
Yeah,
no
for
way.
sure.
There's no way in this world that this man's a social worker. The way he
Oh,
talks and the way he walks, and then at the end talking to the aliens, they're like 73. You had hair back then. I'm like,
yeah,
man,
and
that's
like I don't think I picked up on it. Like I was a teenager when Lilo and Stitch came out, and I never once thought about, oh, maybe that's an MIB or something like that.
mhm.
I just thought it was funny that they had this big dude, uh, literally Ving Rhames. It's literally Ving Rhames in a suit, by the way.
Yes.
In this character, because Disney's known for making their characters look like the stars that voice them, by the way.
Hmm.
And I just like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a social worker. But then when you listen to it, the alien's like, don't I know you? And he's like, yeah, CIA, Roswell, 73. And
Hmm.
she's like, oh, you had hair then. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? You're like, what? Okay,
Yeah.
it's Elvis. So I thought that was just my little Lilo and Stitch thing. So here's my next thing. If the Muppets could remake an Elvis movie, what movie do you think they should make, and which Muppet should star as Elvis?
Muppets and Elvis. Huh. Hmm.
I deal with this all the time, Gabe. So go
I love the
ahead.
Muppets. I'm trying to bring the Muppets to a 21st century Gen A world. Come on, we need the Muppets.
I love me the Muppets. Oh, that's a hard one. Cause see, my favorite movies for Elvis are GI Blues and Viva Las Vegas and Change of Habit. So I would love to see them like in a GI Blues type. And ooh, who would I get to play Elvis?
GI frogs. It
There's
would be called
only
GI
GI
there's only one
frogs.
right answer, and it's Kermit. It's obviously Kermit. But
We're,
here's
we're,
but here's the gag though. If we had like the Muppets movie, right? Instead of like him being like, okay, we're making GI Blues, right? But instead of him being Tulsa, he's Elvis, and that's it. He's just Elvis. It's like Kermit the Frog as Elvis.
we're gonna see Kermit. We're gonna see Fozzie Bear, and we're gonna see Fonzie as the three in GI Blues. Oh,
Oh,
I'll
for
sign
sure,
me up.
for sure,
I want it.
for sure. Or like Jailhouse Rock. Can you imagine Kermit sliding down that pole?
Oh man,
You
if
mean
the Muppets,
jailhouse frog, don't you?
Yes.
man, if we saw the Muppets do their rendition of Elvis movies, I will sign up and watch them all. I volunteer. Just put me in a movie
Same.
theater, give me popcorn, I'll be fine. Just leave me alone.
Same. Same.
Same.
Like, because they were. I saw somebody saying like, if the Muppets could remake a modern movie, I was like, well, there's three things. You got to do an Elvis movie, you got to do Star Wars, and you got to do Lord of the Rings with the Muppets.
You have to.
Period.
I'm surprised that they never did a Star Wars type deal with the Muppets. I
No,
have
it
always,
hasn't
Exactly.
yet.
I mean,
And that would be so funny.
to see the Muppet like okay, my favorite two actually from the Muppets is Dr. Honeydew and Beaker. Those two I love them. And every once in a
Yeah.
while, when I'm in the kitchen, my mom will be looking at me like, "What are you doing?" I'm there cooking, doo 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 doo. I'm doing Swedish Chef, and the doo doo doo. And she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm cooking. Got to keep myself entertained.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So next thing is if so Elvis was a Marvel Comics guy. If Elvis could be in the MCU, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what character do you think that Elvis would be?
Hmm. I feel like he would probably gravitate towards Doctor Strange because he got the cape. He always
For
has to have a
sure,
cape.
for sure. And yeah, he has all the bling and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I also thought he could be Iron Man because he's the playboy millionaire and he likes to give his money away and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Actually,
But
I would have thought Captain America because he was in the army. So I would have thought
I
Captain
mean, well,
America.
technically, I mean, Elvis and Betty White could be Captain America. I'm just saying they could have been an iteration of Captain America.
Man, but I saw Betty White in Captain America suit. I
For
run in the
real,
theater every day, man.
for real, for real. But yeah, that's what I was thinking about because I think in the Austin Butler movie, wasn't he reading like Captain Marvel
Hmm.
Yeah,
back when Captain Marvel actually started out as a guy
that
Hmm.
before
was
he
what
launched
is now
into
known as Shazam.
before he launched into Carol Danvers and Monica Rambeau and everything like that. So the one that he's reading is the actual Shazam version of
Hmm.
Captain Marvel. But yeah. Um and so Gabe, the next thing I wanted to ask about the ETA is like, do you think that you're gonna like, I know you said earlier you want to stay in Texas, but if the opportunity presented itself for you to have a show, like your own show elsewhere, do you think you would move to that location to put together that show?
In a heartbeat. Um, so for now, I would love Texas, but in reality, I would love to take this out on the road. Um, to you know, not just the United States, but I would love to like one day go overseas. Through TikTok, I've met so many awesome people, and I would love to meet them. And majority of them are from the Elvis community. So
Oh yeah.
to be able to go to Florida, Iowa, South Dakota, California, just to meet them. I would love that. So I would really love to take it out on the road if possible, or if I got offered, hey, we wanted Elvis in like Missouri or another state, I would really consider it
Heck yeah.
because
Like in Japan, oh, I bet Japan you can make a
And
killing
and I'm
there.
fitting to go with him because I'm fitting to be his Charlie Hodge.
yeah, well, I'm taking Bacon with me. We're gonna be on the road, causing trouble. Every once in a while, we'll throw on the black suits and we'll do the Blues Brothers also.
Hell
I
yeah.
told, I told him I was like, y'all could be Elvis and Richie Valens
There you go.
Right?
because nobody
Elvis.
ever I never see a Richie Valens ETA or TA. I never see anybody or not even in drag, by the way. I never see
Mhm,
Richie Valens. I never see
Buddy.
Buddy Holly, and those are the type of drag shows and shows that I want to see.
mhm. And it's sad because Richie, Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, they are the pretty much the forefathers of what we have. Without they paved the way, not just Elvis. Elvis paved it also, but they're the ones that actually put it on the map when it first got
Yeah,
started. And
yeah.
it,
There
it's
was
sad. It's sad
there
to see
was
that their careers didn't get
oh yeah,
to didn't get to flourish.
there's for sure. There's so many musically. This is gonna. This is my opinion. I think Buddy Holly had the better music. Musically, the songs that he wrote, how he played those songs and things like that. But that was just me. Um, and even Eddie Cochran. Eddie Cochran he was only 21 when he passed away. But
Hmm.
meanwhile, you see like La Bamba and you see Brian Setzer playing him, and a lot of these guys are like older. And then when you actually realize, I was like, he was only 21.
Hmm.
Buddy Holly was 22. Eddie Cochran was 21. Richie Valens
Yeah,
was 17.
yeah,
And JP was like 29.
yeah. I was
Mm-hmm.
like JP was, and it's like, and I saw a documentary. This was about a few months back about Buddy Holly. That man was so far ahead of his time. What he was doing with music wasn't even thought of in the 50s. What he was thinking of was done more towards the 70s, 80s, 90s of what they were doing, what they started then. Buddy Holly already had that in his mind. So,
Like synthesizers and all that.
yeah. And so to
Yeah.
see that documentary, man, like, man, to see what Buddy Holly would have done after his touring career and his music career, that man would have made so much great music and being a producer and producing music and it goes hand in hand with like to go sideways on this one. I even asked, what do you think what Elvis would have done, you know, now or in the 80s, because music was changing. You think he would have retired? And like I was like, nah, dude, Elvis would have kept going. Elvis would have adapted. He was
For
far
sure.
ahead of his
For
time.
sure.
He would have he with the 80s he would have done music in the 80s, but still his own stuff. Like that man would have. I'm pretty sure if he was still alive, he'd still be touring, sitting in the chair, but he'd
An
still be
Elvis
touring out
disco
there.
album. A disco
Yeah.
Elvis album. Deke played me or Bacon played because we're gonna review some Elvis albums later on the podcast. We're doing GI Blues, which I listened to last night, and then I'm gonna make my notes on so we can record it probably tomorrow or the next day. And then
Hmm.
he had me listen to this like gospel mashup, and it
Hmm.
and I have to say, look, I'm not religious. We were raised as Catholics. I really don't listen to like Christian music or like things like that. But
Hmm.
these songs on this album were a bop. I mean, these songs were so good. Like I would have never get like I'm gonna have to look up the difference between like gospel and Christian music because some of these songs, like I was telling him last night, one of the ones that I liked in particular was like hold on, let me find that album because I have to remember
It's
what it
called You'll
was
Never Walk
called.
Alone. That's what it's
You'll
called.
Never
It's
Walk
this
Alone.
album.
I like that one. That was the album that I listened to. But my favorite song on that album was um you sing you children, and
Hmm.
I Oh my god, I love that so much. I've never ever like listened to Christian music. Like it's not something that I would seek out, but that
Mhm.
album, it was amazing. It was amazing, and the vocals were clean and crisp and velvety, and it sounded so modern, like something that you could like go into a church and hear or whatever.
Mhm.
And then with GI Blues, um, the songs sounded so modern, like they could have been recorded yesterday. No auto tune, by the way. Um, I also didn't know that Blue Suede Shoes was on that album.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Isn't that a re-record? Because I thought Blue
Actually,
Suede Shoes came out earlier than
actually,
GI
no,
Blues.
it had already been out, but he wanted it in the movie, and they couldn't fit it in. He actually wanted, from what I've heard in documentaries, he actually wanted Tulsa to sing this in the movie, but
Mhm.
because they couldn't fit it in and they had no really spot for it, they ended up putting it on the jukebox where he's in the cafe and he's singing, and you hear his friends say, "Turn Presley off," and they're like, "Turn Tulsa off." That's where that came from.
Yeah, I also noticed it's a different version of that song.
I think it's a little
Um,
bit more slowed down, if I'm not mistaken. It's a little bit
uh,
slowed down, a little
the
bit.
beat's a little bit different than the original Blue Suede Shoes. And then I also noticed that a lot of the gospel songs, one of them in particular reminded me of is it Milk Cow Blues or is it Milk Cow Blues Boogie? The
Either
one that was
Mhm.
on the Walk the Line soundtrack.
either one. It's either one.
Because it sounded exactly, I swear to God, the beat sounded just like that.
No,
Yeah.
I like to sit every once in a while. I listen to the gospel albums just because it relaxes me, and like I don't do church or anything like that, but the gospel albums really um I don't know, they relax me. Like my favorite song, which was also my dad's favorite song, was "How Great Thou Art,"
That's a good one.
and that
Yes, I
that's
like
one
that
of
one
my
too.
favorite ones to listen to, and um that's one of the things I'm thinking about incorporating also in my shows. Like I haven't really seen, or at least I've come across ETAs performing gospel in their shows, and so I was like,
Ooh,
I feel like I would like
that
to
could
do
be a
that.
new venture for you. Singing Elvis gospel songs in churches. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
you need to get on it. Like churches, dry clubs. I'm just saying, it's just a thought. Just a thought.
Yeah,
And she doesn't mean the chicken place. She doesn't mean Church's Chicken.
man, I was about to go get me a two piece right now, man. It's like, hey, I'll sing you Blue Space Shoes for a two piece, man.
Exactly.
See how we are, y'all. This is how we really are. This is how me and Gabe
I'm
really are. Like
just, I'm just, I'm just throwing stuff at the wall to see if it sticks. Like I'm giving you ideas. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No,
I'm
but
just saying. Like,
if
I-
if I ever had the opportunity to relocate and to take my Elvis show with me, I would love that. And like one of my friends asked me, "Hey, Gabe, if you ever won the lottery, what would you do? Invest that sucker on my Elvis show? Get me some
before or after
lights."
you disappeared,
Yeah.
I'm gonna disappear for a little while,
It's like I'm
and
gonna
then I'm
take a
gonna
look.
come back.
It's like I'm gonna be in Tennessee for like a month. I'm gonna be chilling at Graceland. And when I come back, I'm gonna put everything else into the Elvis show. Like a whole band thing, and just I would invest heavily in it, and I would just to get a show on the road and just tour. Like that's like one of my goals that I would love to do is just travel and sing. And I've been at this since I was 15 years old. I'm 36 now, I think. I don't know how old I am. I'm in my 30s, and
you're getting up there, but you're getting up there in age.
and I've given it. I've tried giving it up several times. I'll just be like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't. I'll put up the suits. I'll hide them, and then a month, two down the road, I miss you.
Yeah,
And
it's like calling to you.
like I tell people, like I don't get it. I really have tried, giving it up. I've hit the suit. I've cut my hair. I've cut my sideburns. I hit the Elvis music, and then later on, before I know it, well, shoot, my hair's back. Oh, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna cut it. My sideburns
Yeah,
are back,
cut to
and
you hearing a hard rock version of Hound Dog, and you're like, I could really mess with this right now.
I've even joked around with people that are like, you know what? I'm gonna take my show to Mexico. I'm gonna start singing Elvis in Spanish.
Oh,
And
for real? Like, no, you're joking about it, but I promise you, there's a market for it.
Yeah,
Elvis
no,
in Japanese. I've
But
seen
didn't
Japanese Elvis impersonators. I've
didn't
seen
he
black
not sing
Elvis
in Spanish though?
impersonators.
Didn't Elvis not sing in Spanish though?
I think
he
so.
did. He when the movie Fun in Acapulco, he
Guadalajara,
sings. Yeah, he sings like that one, Guadalajara,
Margarita.
Margarita, and there's like I think one more. And when I heard him, I'm on. If Elvis can do it, I can do it. Man, I fooled myself so bad. I couldn't sing those songs to save my life. I'm like, how is Elvis able to sing these songs fluently, and I'm over here getting tongue tied on Guadalajara? I was like, you know
Same.
what? I'm like, Elvis, you win this one. I'm not gonna try it anymore. And I'm
Oh, for
sitting
sure.
here, and anybody who knows when it comes to learning the songs, I will sit here for hours, just work on the song over and over on to the point where like I'm frustrated. And when I was like, I got this, I could do this. Elvis is not gonna beat me. I quit, bro. You can have the songs.
Yeah,
But
it be that way. And like Elvis Tejano music. Like
mhm.
dispute me, but Tejano music is country music in Spanish.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I said what I said. I said what I said.
It's
Like
it's funny.
because
I
it's still they have the accordion in Tejano music. They have banjos, they have the steel guitar, they have the auto harp. It's just in a different language. I'm just saying.
they used to get mad at me. But I used to have a little doo-wop group. We used to tour like little restaurants and pop stores and do rock and roll. And they'd be like, "Why do you sing everything in Elvis style?" Like, I can't help it, man. I've been doing this for so long. My brain's already stuck like that. So when I automatically sing, it comes out. I was like,
Meanwhile,
how are you?
Austin Butler's in Dune sounding like Elvis. You're like, sir, that was
It's
2
true.
years ago.
It's true. Like he's delivering his lines, and you hear Elvis jump out. You're like,
I'm like, sir.
They would joke me like, "How are you singing Earth Angel and Elvis?" Or like, "Mind your business. If it
Earth
works, it
Angel,
works."
Earth Angel. Yeah.
And they're like,
Now, see,
"That
that would
every
be the kind of show that I would see. Be like, oh, hey, we went to this doo-wop thing, and then this guy started singing Earth Angel in like an Elvis voice, and like honestly, low key, like I didn't not want to hear it.
Okay, y'all. So to jump into the album that Gabe just mentioned, Fun in Acapulco. So the songs in here, just to give you a general idea of what we're talking about, are from start to finish are Fun in Acapulco, Vino, Dinero y Amor. That's one of the ones that you were mentioning. And then he does a song called Mexico, El Toro, Margarita, The Bullfighter Was a Lady, There's No Room to Rumba in a Sports Car, which is one of my favorite songs. I think I'm gonna like it here. Bossa Nova Baby, which is where that originated. You Can't Say No in Acapulco, the one that we just talked about, Guadalajara. Love Me Tonight and Slowly But Surely.
Hmm. I
I've
need to
never
rewatch
seen
that.
Fun in Acapulco.
I haven't either. As much of an Elvis fan as I am, and I'm gonna get beat up by the Elvis community, I might lose my Elvis card. I have not seen all 32 of his films. I've seen
I never
majority of
have
them.
either. Um, so okay, you guys. I like Elvis's music. Okay, do I consider myself a fan?
I mean,
Maybe.
define your terms on fan because like it could be like Eminem, like he's a fan of Elvis, but only of the music. Like he himself said that he doesn't like the movies.
Yeah. Am I a fan where like I be obsessing of it over it? Like I know every single thing about Elvis or this. Like, no.
Mhm.
I listen to the music. I've seen a few of the movies, and to me, Elvis is such a like high profile singer and activist and philanthropist that I think the movies sort of tarnishes his legacy. But that's just me. But then again, I hear a lot of the songs, and a lot of the songs that are my favorites, I later found out are like on movie soundtracks, which
Mhm.
I was like, maybe I should go and watch that movie and, at least for the campiness of it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like
Yeah.
you like going into it, okay, this is gonna be an Elvis. He's gonna have a pretty girl, they're gonna dance, there's gonna be music.
And
That's the formula.
I feel bad for Elvis because a lot of his movies are cookie cutter. It's the same movie, just this time he's a race car driver. This time he's on a farm. He's in the carnival, and I feel bad for him because you can tell like when he's in the movies, like he doesn't want to do it anymore. He's tired, and like, and one of his biggest goals was to be taken serious as an actor and do a serious role, and he never unfortunately got to do that. And then when the opportunity finally arose to do A Star Was Born with
Barbara
Barbara
Streisand.
Barbara.
Streisand, the colonel said no. You know, he asked for all these ridiculous demands, and they're like, no. They gave it to Chris Christopherson, and I feel like if Elvis had gotten that role in The Stars Born, that would have really boosted his how he feels about himself, you know, and to give him that I guess closure, like I finally did my serious role. I got his bucket list, so to speak. I guess that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, for sure. Like I would have loved to see Elvis in A Star Is Born, and when I heard about it, I was like, of all the things that you could have ever done, Colonel Sanders, like I freaking hate you
Mhm.
for that. Also, him not letting Elvis tour internationally, I'm like, look, all Elvis would have had to do was like, okay, if he wants to shake the Colonel, okay, fine. We owe you all this money, like they said in the movie. I was like, all he has to do is some accept a couple gigs overseas, the sheiks, the princes. They have to do is throw a couple of private parties. He makes that money in a fucking day. Okay, he could have made that money back
Mhm.
in a day. He could have
Yeah,
toured Japan. He could have lived the rest of his life off that Japanese money. I'm just saying,
yeah. No,
business.
the Elvis coach or the Elvis bug overseas is ginormous. They because like you said, he never got to tour Japan, England, all those over there, and so the demand for him is through the roof. And seeing these ETHs just having a ball over there performing his songs, like, dude, I got to get my butt over there across seas.
Oh,
I'm
for
about to build.
sure.
I'm gonna have to build myself a little raft and pedal my butt all the way to England or something, man.
For sure. For sure. That when I saw that in the movie, I leaned over because of course Bacon is my Elvis and wrestling expert. I was like, is that true that you never got to tour internationally? And he's
He
like, yeah,
never
that's
did.
true.
It
And
was
I was
always the
like,
United States. He was always all over the United States, Canada, like Mexico, places like that. Like he never got to. I don't even think he went to Mexico. Did he, Gabe?
Actually, actually, no, he never got to go to Mexico. So for Fun in Acapulco, the movie was filmed in Mexico, but Elvis's parts were filmed in California. He didn't even get to go to Mexico to film his scenes. And
yeah,
I was
and
like, man, that is sad.
man, I was like, he would have made so much money from going overseas, and
Hmm.
that would have been enough. Like, okay, the colonel wanted to call in all his checks. Fine, go take some gigs overseas. Because let me tell you, those like sheiks and like people that hold them private parties and things like that, they got money. They got that make it
Oh yeah,
rain, never last kind of money. You pick up a gig here in Dubai, here and there, and some underground club or somebody's house or whatever, forget it. You could have made so much money. And I was like, on Elvis, why?
they're like
But
five
anyway,
mil. 5 minutes isn't like $5, and here's us. Do I get the appetizer or not? You
exactly,
know?
exactly.
Yeah, no, for sure. If one week in Japan, England, or like the Sheiks, like 3 days, he's golden. He
For
would have been
sure,
able
for
to,
sure.
here, Colonel, here's your money. Be gone, go away. I'll see you when I come back to the States. And then not, best of luck to you. And that's it.
Exactly.
And that's what's so sad that the Colonel had that firm grasp on him, and I hate what the Colonel did to him. I'm grateful that we did get Elvis. Without the Colonel, there'd not be Elvis. I'm grateful for that part, but the way he treated him, it's just like it's so sad. It's like in the movie when he first started in the International, and him and the owner of the International are writing out the contract, and they're like 5 years at $1 million. What is that?
It's
That's
nothing.
nothing. After he pays the band, everybody else, what does Elvis get? $10, so to speak. And
For
then
sure, for sure.
here's the Colonel reaping off of Elvis, debt free, all his things forgiven, unlimited credit lines. Like, oh, like that. When I saw that scene in the movie, I was mad. Like, did him so wrong.
Oh yeah, and then not only that, but then after his death, the handling of Graceland, and it got so bad there at a point that Vernon was like, "Look," he called Priscilla and was like, "Look, I need some help, or we got to figure this out because there's not going to be anything left for Lisa." And even
Hmm.
though I'm not a Priscilla stan, but I mean, I can't deny that by Priscilla coming in, and started opening Graceland as a museum so that they can make money,
Hmm.
so that Lisa could inherit that property. Like that's the only pass she'll get from me. Other than that, I think Priscilla's trash. Said
Well,
what I said.
also credit where credit's due is she also was trying to get him away from the colonel. So give her
Hmm.
that one too, because like she was literally telling him, "Hey, you don't need the colonel." Like it was in the movie. Like she even told him, she's like, "Hey, I don't think you need the colonel. You need to fire him." So credit where
Hmm.
credit's due on that one.
For
Yeah,
sure. For sure.
she was one of the few, if not the only one, that tried to really get him to pull from the colonel. But like that grasp that he had on Elvis was just so strong, and like it's the colonel did so much psychological warfare on Elvis that it really crippled him to where Elvis was dependent on the colonel, and he couldn't do nothing without him. And that's to hit a man that hard to where you feel like he has to be stuck with you. It's just like, man. But like I said, like I will give him, like the only credit I'll give him is as much as he worked to get Elvis out there and to push the movies when he was on the army, and when he come back, the Sinatra comeback show, and you know it's just so crazy. And but also on that flip side, and forgive me if I ramble, um the colonel was really delusional, also trying to make Elvis think like, like, yeah, you're doing good. Like in the '68 special, he wanted to do a Christmas special because that's what the people wanted. I forget his name, the one who did the '68 comic special. Like, Elvis, come walk with me. And Elvis says, I'm like, hold on, let me get the boys. No, 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 just you and me. Let's go walk down the street. They're like, no, man, I need these guys. Like, trust me. Let's just walk. If anything happens, we'll come back. Him and Elvis are walking down the street. Nobody recognized Elvis.
Yeah.
And
Um,
that part was all like, wow.
that actually was not in the 2022 Elvis movie, but
Mm-mm.
have you seen the 2005 Elvis miniseries with Jonathan Rhys Meyers? That part is
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
that movie, by the way.
But there is one thing with that movie that you just mentioned with Jonathan Rhys Meyers that I do want to touch on, because there is a scene, and I'm not sure if Gabe is gonna know what I'm talking about. There's a scene where I think they're at Graceland or they're at the Beverly Hills home, and him and the colonel are having an argument, and the colonel pushes him, and I think he like falls, and he hits his head like on the sink or on the floor.
Mhm.
Like I want to know what that scene was about, because it's not in the new one with Austin Butler, so I want to know more on that. And like I've never heard anyone discuss that or touch on that. Like I want to know
I
what that
think
was
that was
about.
just dramatic liberties. I don't think that was real because I can't see Elvis allowing someone to beat him that way, especially with his like karate knowledge or whatever. Like, I mean, to be fair, he put up with a lot of bullshit from the colonel, but I don't think he would have. I don't think he would have put up with that.
I think that one was more of like the creative liberties. Um, the Colonel and Elvis, from what I've read, did get into arguments, but it never did come physical. It was always verbal. And so I think that was just more of the, storytelling of that movie versus factualization of it. I think
Gotcha.
I'm gonna look it up because I'm kind of curious now too. But as from what I think of, I think it was just more of just for the movie purposes.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, gotcha.
because
Because when I saw
that
that, I was like, I know that's not true. Because it was like Elvis would have killed him, like seriously. Because Elvis
Mhm.
knew karate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because that Elvis miniseries, I think it's called the Elvis miniseries from 2005, literally reads like a Lifetime movie. Like they could have just put that on Lifetime and been like, "Here's Lifetime's Wish version of Elvis." And to be fair, Jonathan Rhys Meyers is like is sort of a like I wouldn't say he's an A-list star, but sort of well known. But I don't think this movie had a lot of budget or a lot of considerations because like he's not even playing that part like it's Elvis.
Mm-mm.
Whereas
So
Austin Butler nailed the hell out of that part.
so if I could make any changes between the two, No disrespect to Tom Hanks, awesome actor. I love his movies. I'm not going to travel with him because every time he travels, something happens on the plane or a car or something. So if I see Tom Hanks on the plane, I'm walking off.
And he
Um,
has beef with Big Bird. You do not have beef with Big Bird in my book.
And Henry
Just saying.
Winkler.
Just
And
saying,
Henry
Mr.
Winkler.
Hanks. I'm just saying it's on site because of Big Bird. It's on site.
so on the Myers movie, Randy Quaid played an awesome Colonel. I would have loved him to be in the Austin Butler movie. That would have made it even more perfect for me. Austin was spot on as Elvis. Give me Randy Quaid as the Colonel, and I would have loved it. That's my preference. For me, that's what I loved with Jonathan Myers movie. I didn't like him as Elvis. I felt like it was overacted.
It was.
The singing was just so bad. I watched it because I'm an Elvis fan. Bite me, but it was just
Yeah.
like, why? I
Yeah.
felt more like it was a mockery of Elvis versus
Same.
a biopic or like a tribute to him.
Yeah.
So for
Because and then when I saw clips of Jonathan Rhys Meyers speaking about that movie, he said he played it like he was Elvis's twin, or he said that he played it like he was Aaron Presley instead of it being like Elvis Presley, which like, dude, we get you're a method actor, but this is like Elvis. Like
Mhm.
literally that's method as it is. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah,
Also, you
no,
could tell he was not an Elvis fan, by the way. I'm just saying.
yeah, no, for
Just an
sure.
observation.
When I found out that Austin Butler was going to portray Elvis, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know
Me
that he
neither.
was on was it Disney or Nickelodeon, whatever that channel was. I didn't know he was part of that. I had never heard of the man, and so like the whole time I'm on like, I hope it's not as bad as the series that we saw. Like I
Same.
really hope they give him the proper respect. And in my opinion,
Yes.
the best one we had before Austin was Kurt
Kurt
Russell.
Russell.
That for
Yes.
me,
I'm so glad that you said that because I literally said that to Deke. I said the 2022 Elvis movie was the first Elvis movie or Elvis biopic that I've seen where they showed him truly as a human being with emotions, because
mhm,
it was like I'd seen so many, like I've seen the Elvis miniseries, I've seen other ones where
mhm,
they show Elvis as helpless, as stupid, as oh, he's this, he's that, and I was like, that cannot be the same Elvis that I always hear stories about, giving
mhm.
people brand new cars or,
Yeah.
paying someone's bills or things like that. I was like, that cannot be the same Elvis. And then here comes Austin Butler showing the humanity, showing Elvis as a real person, showing him also. Another thing that I also am glad that it cleared up is that Quincy Jones had started the rumor that Elvis was racist. And I was like, that's a freaking lie, because I knew about Elvis in the black community. There's a documentary about it. Him with BB King, him singing with the Jordanaires and the
Little
Sweden
Richard.
and Little
Hmm.
Richard and the Sweet Inspirations. I'm like, there is no way in hell that man is racist. He lived in Memphis. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah. When I heard that about Quincy Jones, and I'm like, bro, you're just, for lack of a better term, talking out of your ass.
For
And
sure. For sure.
When Elvis came down here to Texas to perform in Houston, the promoters at the Astrodome were like, "We want you, but them girls, we don't want them." And Elvis told them, "You don't want them, you're not getting me. If they're not out there, I'm not out there." And at the show, what did Elvis do? He had the Sweet Inspirations on a Jeep, rolled into the stage right with him. And I love that. And you hear stories about that, like Elvis, how, and I hate the stories where like Elvis stole black music. He stole this, he stole that. He didn't steal nothing. And even like Little Richard, Ray Charles, all those people who knew Elvis, sang with or met him, they're like, no, he was our biggest supporter. Without him, this would not be possible. He helped us. He put us out there. He took our songs, yes, but our songs also got hit also. We got a piece of that also because of him. And so I was like, man, hearing that whole Elvis is racist, like that man is so humble, so genuine. You cannot have someone who wants to pay someone's bill or buy someone a brand new Cadillac because they need a vehicle or they're struggling and tell me that they're racist like that. Like no, like when Quincy did that interview, like man, that's just why? Why are you going to try to tarnish a man's image legacy that cannot defend himself?
Oh yeah, for sure. And not only that, the fact that we're like what 70 years, almost 80 years later, we're still talking about Elvis, and I couldn't name you a song that Quincy Jones produced, other than
Yep.
maybe Thriller.
I think he didn't. I think the only thing I know about Quincy Jones is he came out in Austin Powers.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
the only
That's
thing
it.
that I know about Quincy Jones is that he's Rashida Jones's father.
I didn't even
And
know
let's
that.
face it, he'll never be Barry Gordy. Same what I said.
I'm like, at least I know who Barry Gordy is. I was like, he created Motown and like the Jackson 5. Well, not that he didn't create the Jackson 5, but Jackson 5 was on
No,
his
but he put
Motown
them on the
label,
map
and like,
because like they were on the Motown label with the Temptations, the Supremes,
yeah,
like
yeah,
all those acts that were on the Motown sound, out, what do you call that list?
roster.
Thank you. Was because of him. Was because of Barry Gordy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and then like him with BB King in that they showed in the movie, and then another thing that the only other issue that I had with the Austin Butler movie is that I don't remember, and I don't think it's actually mentioned, but when he's in the club, and we know, if you're an Elvis fan, that that's Sister Rosetta Tharpe that he's talking to. But in the
Mm-hmm.
movie, they don't say, "Oh, coming to the stage is Sister Rosetta Tharpe." You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That was the only thing that bothered me that I didn't care for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they kind of
That
did the same thing in Walk the Line with Wanda Jackson, where they don't mention that it's Wanda Jackson, but then the girl that Jerry Lee Lewis grabs to walk out on stage with her is mentioned as Wanda Jackson. So I don't know. Sorry,
mm-hmm.
go ahead, Gabe.
Well, it was cool though to see that in the Austin Butler movie that it pretty much it filled in the holes of what every Elvis movie left out. It gave credit where credit was due. It mentioned Sister Rosetta, where she was the inspiration. Her song is it's her song. That's where Elvis got it from. Him and like, the relationship with him and BB King, like a lot of the movies didn't show none of that. It just showed like Pickle said, he was stupid, he was racist, he was just a poor country boy that didn't know nothing. And this movie was more of the humility of Elvis. Showed him the human side. He was a man who had emotions, who had feelings, who went through trials and tribulations. And the other ones never touched on that. And I like this movie how it did. Um,
Yeah, there were so many. You've heard me say this so many times that when I was actually seeing Elvis in the movie theater, like I was so into it that there was literally like a couple times I was like, "Whoa, this is not Elvis. This is Austin Butler playing Elvis." And this is just a movie. I had to bring myself back because I was like, wow. Like I was so in it. And then also Baz Luhrmann, when I heard that Baz Luhrmann was also doing this, like I explained to Bacon, I was like, Baz Luhrmann is kind of like Tim Burton. They have a certain way of filming things and certain camera angles and I was like, and I know for a fact with Baz Luhrmann, you're going to get bright pops of color and a bright color palette, and the music is going to be remixed. He did the same thing here with Elvis that he sort of did with Moulin Rouge, where he
mhm.
put a lot of music and songs together to form a bigger piece, which I really loved. So yeah, it was amazing.
I loved what he did with Viva Las Vegas and Toxin. When I
Yes,
heard that, I flipped my lid. I was like, "Am I hearing Britney Spears and an Elvis song?" And
exactly,
and I'm walking out of the
exactly.
theater, and we walked out of the theater, and I'm mad because I'm like, I'm gonna have to wait and hope that when the album comes out, the song is on there.
Is it on the album? I don't remember if it's on the soundtrack.
I
I
think
don't know.
so.
I
Is
think that
I'm gonna look right now. I'm gonna look right now on the Spotify because I
and
have
My
it on
that's
favorite
Spotify.
song, my
the,
favorite song though from the movie was "The Power of My Love" with Jack
the,
White and Elvis. That was a good one.
But so I had only before I didn't even know it was an Elvis song until I heard it in the movie, and they said that that was an Elvis song because Jack White, me and Jack White have a love affair. Like I love Jack White so much. Like he's like ride or die. Don't ever talk bad about him in my presence because I will go off. Like, seriously. And when I heard the mashup and they're like, this is an Elvis song, I'm like, this is an Elvis song. I don't think I've ever heard this song. And then you hear the mashup and you're like, it's almost the same thing, literally.
Okay, hold
Hmm.
on. Really quick. What song did you say was? Did you want to know it was on the album or not?
Oh, it was.
Um,
Oh, Toxic. Yeah, it
yeah,
is. It is. I'm looking at it right now. It is. And then right underneath that one, it's Backstreet Bossa Nova, which is the everybody
That one's
Backstreet's back with
awesome.
Bossa Nova.
That was awesome, also. So one of my favorite parts about the movie was like, okay, my friend Bobby, she's my sister. We've known each other for over 10 years. Her and her husband were bestest friends. She's not an Elvis fan. She knows of his music, but she won't consider herself a fan because she's not like how I am. And we went to go see the movie in theaters, and at the end, she's like, "Man, I had to pull myself back," and it's like, "That's not Austin. That's Elvis I'm looking at now." And like to hear that, she's all like, "I like she." When the movie came out, I'll admit this, I cried through the whole movie. And
I was too.
At the end, I'm bawling. I got a snot bubble here. My eyes are puffy because I'm crying so much. And I turned to her and she's crying. And she's like, I'm like, why are you crying? I know why I'm crying, but why are you crying? And she's like, because you're crying. But like that movie, just like, for someone who's not an Elvis fan and say like, that was a really good movie. Like I did not know that about him. Like, and she was like, was this part true? Was that part not true? And because we know how movies like to take creative liberties and like exaggerate stuff. And like, yeah, for the most part, it was pretty true and this and that. And and
There was
so like,
some stuff that was fabricated, but a lot of it was true.
mhm. And
Yeah,
so
and I know the reason that made me teary-eyed and crying was because he has that one part toward the end of the movie when he's talking to Priscilla right before he dies and he's like, "Do you think they'll remember me?" And I'm like, "I'm sitting in a movie theater like 50
that
years after you passed away, dude, and I'm crying because
that
like
that line hit me so bad. He's like, I'm about to hit 40, and no one's gonna remember me. And here we are,
yeah,
like you said, so many years later, we're all in a theater watching a movie about his life. And I was like,
exactly." And we know all the songs,
hmm
you know, and not only that, but Deke and I, we grew up with that music. Like we grew up listening to the Beatles, to the Monkees, to Elvis. Our mom was a boomer, and so and then she would tell us that she got to see the Monkees, she got to see the Beatles, she got to see Elvis, and things like that. And
yeah,
us knowing that we are never going to be able to, we'll never in our lifetime, the closest I've ever coming to seeing Elvis live is watching the movie or when we saw the play of the $1 Million Quartet. Like that was the only time in our lifetime that we're going to get close to seeing that. So
hmm
that was the feeling that I had, like while I was watching the movie, like, okay, I'm in this theater, I'm watching a huge movie about Elvis. This is, like, for the most part, what I know is true. The music is awesome, and this
hmm
is the closest that I'm ever gonna get to seeing Elvis live. Do you know what
yeah.
I mean? So
No, for no.
that's what I was feeling, and like, and not only that, but also going into it, like, I wouldn't consider myself like an Elvis fan, like the same way I'm a fan of Jack White, like or Pink,
hmm
where I'll listen to all their albums all day long,
hmm
or Taylor Swift even, but knowing the little bit that I did know about Elvis and already being familiar with the songs and what I liked, and then you just go in
Most
there
of
and
the
you're like,
songs which you heard from
wow.
me,
Yeah, and I've heard them from Deke or in the media, and you're just like, I cannot believe this right now that this is happening. I was like, why are all these people at the Elvis concert? Like,
No, I get that a lot. Seeing the movie, I felt the same way. Like this is the closest I'm ever gonna get. And for me, I always question myself. Is if, the one question I always ask is, am I doing this correctly? Am I bringing the
yeah,
proper honor and am I bringing the proper honor to Elvis and his legacy? And I always say, if I ever feel that I can't do it anymore, if I feel like I'm doing more of a mockery than anything else, I will gladly hang up everything and say, you know what? I've had a good run. It's been fun. I've had this awesome privilege of meeting awesome people, making friends because of doing this. That would speak volumes for me.
Oh, for sure. Talk
That's the
amongst yourselves for a second. I'm just trying to get the charging cord. It's like, let me get
There
yeah,
the
we go.
charger. Yeah, I got it.
yeah. But for me, it's like the one thing I never want to do is become a mockery to Elvis or his name because I wouldn't want that for me. You know,
Exactly.
and y'all might think I'm crazy because I don't tell people this a lot. You know, if you know, Bacon knows. I told him this. Um, when I first got started, I had a dream about Elvis that he spoke to me in my dreams, and it was after one of my shows. I got off stage, and as clear as I see both of y'all, I saw him, and he was wearing his blue suit from the Madison Square Garden. He had the shirt, the belt buckle, the coat, everything. Yeah, no, the powder blue suit, the actual
Oh,
with the collar in it. He was wearing that. He had the glasses, and you see the shadow. You know, like you don't really see him. Like you can tell it's him, and he's all like, "Man, that was an awesome show." And the whole time I'm standing there, they're like, you know who I am?" Like, Yes, sir. You know, Mr. Presley." He's like, "No, no, call me Elvis." Mr. Presley was my dad. Like, I just want you to know, I like what you did out there. You did an awesome show. You know, I like how you're keeping my legacy going. Keep it up. And then I woke up.
Oh,
I woke up, and you ever had one of those dreams where you wake up and you're like, that what just happened? You wake up lost, and I'm in bed, and I'm like, what did I just go through? What was this? I've never dreamed of anybody celebrity wise. We have dreams of our family, friends, or just some stranger who we saw on the street who we don't know. But the dream of a celebrity like that, and for to actually talk with him and have like almost like a full blown conversation, is like, what just happened?
so like this suit here.
Mm, no, no. Let's see if I can find it for you.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, this thing is
And
showing through dark. So
no, and I completely get you, Gabe. Like because, but you know what that reminds me of? That dream. Um, do you know who Elvira is? Like the.
The big hair and the black dress.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
she released a book, I think in 2021 called Yours Cruelly. And she talks about her time being a dancer in Las Vegas and when she met Elvis. And I swear to God, it's the same thing. Like, I never even knew that first of all, I didn't know Elvira went back. Well, Elvira's a character that she plays, again, drag. She called it a drag thing, by the way, anyways. But
Hmm.
prior to her creating the character of Elvira, she was a showgirl and a dancer in Las Vegas, and she met Elvis.
Hmm.
I haven't read the book in a while, so I can't really remember exactly what she said, but she was like, "Oh, she met him. She was young. He told her if she was going to do this for a career, do it for herself and do it for the right reasons." And then there were some other things, but like I said, I haven't read the book in a while. I have it on my phone on my Audible, but that's what that sort of reminded me of.
So Bacon,
As
this is what I was talking about.
okay, that one. Oh, the one that he
yes.
did the interview in. I like that one.
Yeah, so that's the suit he was wearing in my dream, and I don't know, like I feel like for somehow this dream and me giving up is connected, and that's probably why I can't give it up as much as I try.
Well, see, I
And
feel like on that situation, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I feel like in that
oh,
situation, it's because you're meant to be doing this. Like this is your calling, and at some point, you're gonna get your name out there, and you're gonna get, uh, basically, this is your calling and what you're meant to be doing. Like I feel like everyone has their purpose and what they're supposed to be doing, and you do being an Elvis ETA is yours.
And me throwing out ideas for like drag clubs and like churches and things
yeah.
like that. I'm just saying, on and up from here, like let's start calling those drag clubs. Like, hello, do you guys have an ETA? Because I
Mhm.
got one, right?
I know a guy.
I know
No,
that.
I would love to, and if anything, one thing I am not is a patient person. So
We know.
I'm really trying to be patient on this, and it's like, I know in time things will get better. They'll start rolling, and when it does, it's gonna take off, and I'm just waiting for that. And I'm trying my hardest to get my name back out there, and it's like, it stinks because like I miss it, and for anybody who's ever sang like in choir or like whoever's done stuff like this or just stuff you love and you haven't done it in a while, you get that itch. And for me, it's like I miss it so much. And like for me, my mom has never seen me perform. She never went to one of my shows because she was always out of the Corpus area, and I never got to go up north to like San Marcos to perform. So she never had got to see my performances. And so for me, it's like one of my biggest goals at the moment is to put on a show and have my mom in that crowd so she could finally see me perform as Elvis. And she's heard stories, she's seen pictures, she'll hear me rehearse, but the whole production of it, she never has had the chance to see it. So I want to give my mom that before anything else.
And
And
we're
then
gonna manifest it because we're boss. We are boss babes. We can do it.
And there's something I want to touch on really quick before we wrap this up because we've been doing this for like 2 hours. So he has a suit that he just made that he said it looks like the Elvis suit. I saw it, y'all, and the first thing I thought of, and he can vouch for this, was Richie Valens' suit from La Bamba, where he's on the phone talking to Bob.
I
That's what I saw.
want to see it.
Hold on,
What does it look like?
Richie Valens' suit. Like, remember where he's talking to Bob on the phone, and he's got the black and the blue shirt? That's exactly what
Yeah.
it's Elvis.
when
I'm like, sir.
when Bacon told me that, I'm all like, he looks at it, and Bacon's like, it looks like the Richie Valens. I'm looking at it like, God dang it, it
It
does
does.
now. I
It
cannot
does.
unsee that now.
It does. Like the way that he showed it, I was like, that's Richie Valens' suit. Don't lie to me telling me that's Elvis,
Oh
sir.
my god! I can't wait. Let me see it. I need to see it now.
And he showed it to Lou Diamond. Richie Valens. Richie Valens.
I can't, Gabe. That does look like Richie Valens.
Only thing
It does
Elvis
look
is the
like Richie
bells.
Valens.
Only thing Elvis is
Let
the
me see if I
bells.
can find a picture of it. Hold
I,
on.
and it's funny. Couple of weeks ago we had Comic Con here in Corpus,
Here we go.
and
Listen to
Lou
this.
Diamond Phillips was here, and so they did. He's such an awesome guy to talk to, by the way. He did a panel. Our friend Celeste was the interviewer, and when he got out there, she's like, "Okay, y'all, we have to do this. We have to." And like instantly, we all knew like she's like, "We know you get this a lot, but we're gonna get this out of our system before anything else." And she's like, "At the count of three, we're all gonna yell Richie," and we did. And
Name-
so and so
See?
after that panel, that Sunday, it was the last day, and I'm just walking. I like to walk through the celebrities just to see, who's there. And Lou Diamond Phillips was at his table, and I asked one of the handlers, like, how much to just talk to him and say hi? Because I know some charge, $20 just to go up to them.
That's
And
why
he's
we
all
didn't
like,
go to ours.
yeah. And so the gentleman's all like, no, that's free. So I went up, shook his hands like Mr. Phillips. He's like, call me Lou. Like, all right, first name basis. And he's all like, Lou, I really enjoyed your movies. I loved you in La Bamba, Lost Boys, Stand and Deliver. And he's all like, you saw Stand and Deliver? It's like, yeah. What's your favorite line? Hey, Kimo, you proud of me? I'm the first dude here. What's that coolest? And he just busted out laughing. He's all like, Lou, I'm an Elvis tribute artist. I just finished, right, my friend and I, we just finished building a jumpsuit. And it was a touch of, one of Elvis's early suits, but talking to one of my friends, he's all like, it looks like the Richie Valens suit. And
It was
the
bacon.
more,
That friend
the
was
more,
bacon.
the more he said it, I'm all like, dang it, I can't unsee it. And so I get the picture. I'm like, what do you think, Lou? And he starts busting. I was like, bro, that's not that. That's Elvis and Richie Valens right there. And it's like, okay, it's the Richie Elvis suit then. That's what I'm gonna call it now.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to share the screen so you guys can see it as well because I found a picture of the suit. Hold on just a second. I'm still figuring out how to use Zoom, you guys. Oh
We're still kind
no,
of new